Hello, welcome to Patrice's Projects. Today we're going to be seed saving again. We're going to be doing Praxx Cherry tomatoes and we're going to be using the fermentation method. So what I'm going to need is, it's best to use something like a mason jar where you don't have a lip on the inside. This one it would be okay because you can still pour off pretty easy. What I noticed, I used a bigger mason jar and it was just bigger around. And it was really hard for me to pound the seeds out when I was done. I couldn't really get my hand in there to scrape it out, so I had to pour it out into the strainer, which we'll get to later. For today, because I need all of my jars right now because I'm making pickles and I'm going to can some of this, I'm going to make salsa out of the cherry tomatoes and some other tomatoes that are sitting on the counter. What I'm going to be using is this glass, and it has no lip on it. We're going to go ahead and squeeze the seeds and the goo around it into the glass and ferment it right in there. Let me bring you in close and show you how we're going to do this. First, we're going to need very ripe tomatoes. And I'm only going to pick the ones that are in really nice shape, like this right here is nice and red. It's a little bit bigger. The smallest ones I'm going to skip over for the seeds. So let's get cutting. That one's a pretty nice one. So, let's go ahead, and I like a serrated edge because it cuts through the skin a little bit better. And this is the bottom, right at the very bottom. I'm going to cut an X, and that way I'm cutting into most of the cavities where the seeds are at, and I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze out all the seeds and the goo that goes along with it. If a little bit of the tomato part gets in there, that's okay too. That's about it for that one. And I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of these just like that. Cut right across the bottom, squeeze the goo out with all the seeds, and I'm going to keep going on that until I get at least a ½ inch probably into the bottom of this glass so it ferments better. And then I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Well, I have 30 in the glass right now. Let me see if I can straighten it up a little bit so you can see the amount. That's more than ½ an inch. That's about 2/3 of an inch. So probably 25 would be a good number if you're going to use something about the size of this. This is like the size of like a candle jar or something like that. So 25, 30 would be plenty. I'm going to go ahead and keep going a little bit because the reason I'm saving all these seeds is so that I can give them away. I'm going to be doing a seed giveaway somewhere between mid-August and the end of August, and I also have to do it today because I've already done a lot. Let me show you the paper plate that I have some drying on. Let me grab that real quick. So here's what they look like after they ferment, and then you take them and rinse them out and strain them, and we'll be doing that a little bit later in the video. But what you do is you just lay them out on a paper plate or paper towel. They stick to really bad, so unless you're planning on planting the paper towel with them, you probably want to use paper plate or wax paper or something like that. Wax paper, and when you try and spread them out, you know what's going to happen. They're all just going to stay together. So I found paper plate to be the most effective way. And I also have these in this bag all ready to go. So I'll be giving away seeds on my channel until I run out. I'm going to be giving away these, and let me show you some of the other varieties real quick that I'm going to be giving away. I took a little bit of video of them. Here's the sacred basil, and you see it has, well, it's kind of hard to see, little tiny purple flowers. Let me see if I can focus in. And I have seed that's already dry. In fact, this one over here, this is one plant. And the leaves are rather small on them. But they can grow quite bushy, especially if you pinch back the flower buds regularly in the beginning of the season and then let it go. You'll get all kinds of seed. Here's some of those little purple flowers. Here's one of my endive plants that I'm letting go to seed, and you can't get an idea of what the leaves look like, so I'll post a picture that I find online what this is. It's not endive, it's endive. Here's some of the Jimmy Nardello peppers that I'm harvesting seed from. Here's a nice green one. They get pretty long, and they also get pretty curly. Here's one that's getting ready. I'm only harvesting the seed from the ones that are red and the largest ones. So like if this little guy didn't get any bigger than that and turned red, I would not take the seed from that. Here's some more of them. They're growing way down low on the plant, which is fine because they're not going to get sunburnt as bad. That's going to be a nice one to get seeds from right there. And here are the seeds that I'll be giving away for butter crunch lettuce, and I have a lot of those, so I'll give you plenty. That's that butter crunch. The red lettuce, because it's so densely planted, I had to pull a lot of them from the center area. And here's the red lettuce here. I have a row of it, and it ended up like, I don't know, 3 or 4 rows next to each other because I just did I sprinkled it and then just kind of brushed it into the soil there, about 10 inches wide. So there's all of that, plus there's the green onions. I didn't do a video of those because they're already done. I did those at the end of season last year, but I planted them this year and they're very viable, so you can plant those in the fall as well. And they'll grow through all the way up until you've got snow covering them, I guess. We don't get snow here, so they just keep growing. So anyway, what I'm doing right now is I'm separating them. These have been drying for a couple of days, and then they'll be dry in about 4 or 5 days is what you want to leave them out, at least. I leave them out more than a week, just to make sure that they're all the way dry, especially when they're in clumps like that. So that's what they'll look like after they ferment. And I'll just show you real quick what you do. I'm going to be putting about half water, so the equal amount of water. You could put a little bit more. That helps with the fermentation process. And I like to cover mine. This is a coffee filter. I'll put a rubber band over it. You want something that is breathable though, so that it ferments correctly. And in about 4 days, you're going to see that there is a layer developing on the top of this, and then the seeds will start to go up into that layer. And the reason you ferment is to break down that gel around the seeds. That is designed to prevent the seed from sprouting while it's in the tomato. So when the tomato rots, that gel layer will dissipate away and then the seed can grow. What we're doing by fermenting is we're breaking down that gel layer, and then I store them after they dry. And you can do it in a Ziploc bag if you know that they're all the way dry, or in a paper envelope. If you only leave them out for 4 or 5 days, I would recommend an envelope. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze a bunch more in here, then we'll do the water. I just realized I forgot to tell you why I need to do this today. I'm making pickles for the first time ever. I'm making bread and butter pickles. I'm doing a video on that too. And it's summer and we don't have real good air conditioning here. So if I'm going to heat up the canner, I'm going to do salsa as well. And I'm doing cold pack on both of them, so I have to run the canner for 25 minutes, the water bath canner. And so I figure I might as well make some salsa with these, because if I noticed that when I do it this way, you don't have as runny of a salsa, and it turns out much better in my opinion. So maybe I'll even do a salsa recipe on there. Might as well. If I'm doing all this, why not? So that is the reason I have to do it today. I'm going to try and do a cold pack salsa, and I'll let you know if that works out for me. And also cold pack bread and butter pickles. So stay tuned for that one too. I don't know which one. Probably the pickles came out before this. So that's what I'm doing today. So it's going to be a very exciting day. I squeezed a little bit more than 50 of them probably, and I ended up with a little more than an inch of goo. That's what we call it anyway. And I'm going to pour in about an equal amount of water, like that. And right now you see the seeds are mostly on the bottom. And I'm going to set this in, I don't really have sunny windows because we keep our curtains closed, but in a window where the sun does filter through a little bit better. The sun does help with the fermentation process to speed it up. So go ahead, if you have a sunny location, put it in a sunny window, and in about in about 3 or 4 days, you'll begin, actually in about 3 days, you'll begin to see the film forming on the top, and all the seeds are going to start rising up, and then they're going to go into the layer that's forming at the top, and you will see the fermentation happening. You'll see little bubbles embedded into that layer, and then when all the seeds are up at the top, you see all the bubbles in there, that's when it's fermented. However, I leave it just a little bit longer to make sure that that gel layer around the seeds is all the way broken down. So, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and cover it up, put a rubber band around it, and because I am very forgetful, I put the date on the top so that I remember to check it. This filter is covering a little bit more of this glass than I'd prefer. I like to be able to see what's going on, so you'll want to use a taller container so that you can see when the fermentation process happens. So when it, like I said, when all the seeds are up at the top and you've got that layer across there, you see bubbles all across, then you know it's fermented. Then I wait like a day or two longer just to make sure that the gel layer is broken down completely on the seeds, so that you get good germination. I was going to say germination on the seeds. And if it starts to form a little bit of mold in there, that's okay. If you get a lot of mold, that's probably not so good. So you want to catch it when it's all the way fermented. A little mold is fine, and I'll show you what we're going to be doing in a few seconds when I come back in about 4 days. It's been about 1 week. I should have done it probably 4 or 5 days in when the ferment was looking really good. I was only peeking under because every time that I move the glass around, more of the seeds are falling down. And I wanted to show you what it looks like. Okay, so that was last month on the 27th. But my thick layer has really broken down, and you can't, oh, it's all falling apart now. You can't really see the bubbles in there anymore. I don't know, maybe you can. But it has broken down the gel sac surrounding the seeds, and now it's time to rinse these out. Let me show you inside the glass. Well, it has completely fallen apart, but you can kind of see it over that way, the layer on top. But there's no mold or anything like that, so everything's going to be good. What I'm going to do now is kind of icky. I'm going to find something to stir that with. Hold on. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stir all that to release the seeds from that layer. And yes, it will smell like a ferment, which is not the best smell in the world, but we're going to rinse that all away right now. Okay, you see it's just completely dissolved. And lift the glass up. Let's go ahead and put that on there. If you lift the glass up, you see the seeds are all down in here. So let's go ahead and get rinsing because this smells pretty bad. First, I'm just going to add some water. Let it settle for just a little bit. I'm going to give that another quick stir just to make sure I'm releasing everything. The seeds that are no good, a lot of those will come to the top, not all. And hopefully I'll be able to rinse some of those away. And you see tiny seeds sitting up in the top. I'm going to go ahead and start. Just pour it nice and gently. And you will lose some seed, but not a lot of the good seed. Let it set for a minute. And I'm going to keep rinsing until I get most of that goo out of there. You see the seeds are not pouring out, just the tiny little ones that aren't viable. That's a lot of seed that we had gotten from just, I think it was a little over 50, right? A little over 50 cherry tomatoes. So that's not bad at all. Starting to see some good seeds get toward the front there. Alright. And I'm going to actually add water one more time. Put them into the strainer. I'm going to pour them in pretty quick so that they'll come out of the glass, because they don't seem to want to. This is the third time I'm doing that this season. This is the third time I am doing this season, because I want to have plenty to give away. I'm going to be doing a seed giveaway, I think from the 17th, which is a Friday, through either the end of the month or partway into next month. The end of the month, that would be exactly 2 weeks. But the last time I did a seed giveaway, I did not have a good response. So I wanted to give plenty of time, but not a ridiculous amount. Okay, so let's go grab a paper plate. This is the seed from last time I did this, and it's quite a bit. Wow. I'm going to have to get this into here somehow. And I'm just going to keep reusing the same paper plate because it doesn't really damage it. So as long as you use a decent size or decent quality paper plate. When you're picking your paper plate, make sure it's not one that's coated, because you want the plate to absorb some of the moisture off so that you don't get rotting and molding. tiny that are left on there. Okay. Now, to get the new batch on, just like that. And then you smear them around as best you can. You want to get rid of all the clumps. Get them all spread out like that over there. And this is going to take me a while, so I'll just do this after we wrap this video up. So, they look really round right now because they have a lot of moisture in them. But as they dry, they'll look just like that, just regular seed. Thank you for joining me in another project. I do appreciate it. And like I said, I'm going to be doing the seed giveaway in less than 2 weeks. So if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that now and then click the bell button for notifications of upcoming videos so you don't miss it. If you have any questions, comments, or just want to say hi, drop that in the comments down below. I always appreciate that, and I respond pretty quickly. Obviously, this video was shot more than a week ago. How this is going to work is I'm going to have 4 main varieties. One will be Praxx Cherry and one will be Buttercrunch. The other 2 I'm not absolutely certain on. I'm hoping Endive is one of those, but they're really hard to harvest seed from, so I'm still working on that. However, you did see more than 4 varieties that I'm offering. If you hate Endive, or if you have an abundance of red lettuce or something like that, that might be part of the 4 main ones, which it probably will be, you can substitute one of the others for that, or you can double up on ones that I have an abundance of, like if green onions is one of those, I have an abundance of that. So that's how that's going to work. You can substitute one of them, because if I just open it all up, I have to hand write on every piece of paper what varieties are the seeds are. So that would make it very difficult for me. I'd rather have one typewritten, I can print it out, and then I can just scratch one of them out, substitute that one, and we're all happy. So that's how that's going to work. Again, thank you for joining me on another one of my projects. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or just want to say hi, drop it in the comments down below. And again, if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that so you don't miss this giveaway. I'll see you next time. Bye.